Um, so I'm gonna do this video with my arm covering my eyes because it's uh it's nighttime and the lights are off and I don't want to get up to turn on the lights. So this video is how I've recently changed my mind about what's better, babies or cats. And before I thought cats were better than babies. But now that I've had my first child, I think babies are better than cats. And I thought that, before I had a son, I really didn't interact with the babies very much. I interacted with children. I was like a Sunday school teacher. And I was like an after school tutor and a summer camp tutor. And but this is about babies. So I interacted with some babies, like my cousin when I was in elementary school. I was in elementary school and he was a baby. And then I was like in high school, and then one of my like nephews, I don't know what my cousin's child is called, second cousin. Yeah, I think it's called second cousin, was a baby. And I thought he was super cute and adorable. He had a little smile and everything. That was all my exposure to babies, pretty much. And so I had just few experiences as a teenager and child. And I thought they were cute, but like they grossed me out. And what grossed me out was like the whole concept of like a smelly, dirty diaper, for example. And then they kind of just like, they have these really big heads with almost like googly eyes. And I didn't really find that really cute in comparison to a cat. Because like a cat, they have like big heads too, like the kittens, but I think like everything is like proportioned a little bit more um, closer to like when they grow up. So their head is bigger, just like I suppose like most, you know, baby like mammals. I figure all of them are like that, but I think human is like a lot more exaggerated. And it makes sense, humans are like the most intelligent or one of the most intelligent like species out there. So we're gonna have like a really big head as babies, more than other mammals with smaller brains. And so I thought cats were like more cute than babies. I'm talking about this because for a while before I had kids, like I was that type of person that I was like, well, I sort of want kids, but mostly not. But it's cool. Like I like cats, so like one day I'll have a cat because I really love cats. They're so adorable, and their personalities are nice. I like how they do their own thing. I like how they're not too like obsessed and like eager to be like obedient and be influenced by whatever the owner is vibing or telling the dog to do. I like how the cat like is a little bit more independent. So it's almost like a equal footing in terms of like the social interaction with like me and the cat. I like how they're like little and kind of like sly and cute. And um, I just like how they're kind of clean. They like clean themselves all the time. And I like the sounds that they make. It's like a very sweet meow noise. And yeah, before I had a son, I was wanting to get a cat. And I was thinking, like, man, they're so cute. Cats are so precious. And like babies are like that too, but like, yeah, they're kind of like strange looking with their big heads. And they're like, they got their dirty diapers. And that's another thing I like about cats is that like I think they do their bathroom more independently than dogs. And you don't need to like take cats for like walks, and you don't need to take them out to go to the bathroom. They can like go in the litter box on their own. And I really like how they like do the kneading thing they need on like your body. It's just like such a sense of being accepted by an animal that like the animal like chose it and it wasn't like conditioned to act like that. Because a dog like I suppose you gotta like train them. I'm not really sure, but I sense you gotta more like train them to like be affectionate, or they're gonna be like really rowdy and affectionate at times, but almost in like this love hate thing where you love it when they're affectionate, and then you hate it when they're really rowdy and breaking things and barking all the time. And so like for the longest time, I was just like, you know, I want a cat. I don't really necessarily need to have a baby or a kid. But then like, you know, my son's mom got pregnant, almost a couple years ago by now, and now my son's about to be a toddler, and I think I changed my mind. I really did change my mind. I didn't. I think like I changed my mind when I changed my mind when the first time like he fell asleep in my arms. Like within probably like the first week of being with him. I think at the hospital when like oh his mom was you know in the hospital bed for like 3 days, and he was outside of her for 3 days, and I was just sleeping on the couch in the medical room that she was in and our son was in. I don't really remember, him falling asleep in my arms in a very like noticeable way. But I think like once I brought him home, within a couple days or so, there was like for the first time like he was like a little bit fussy, or a little bit like he seemed like a little bit uncomfortable or upset, and then I was like gently holding him and gently kind of moving, soothing back and forth, rocking him gently. And then he just started to like yawn and showing some like strong signs that he's getting sleepy, or just visible signs, and that he felt safe, or appeared he felt safe and comfortable. And at that point on, I changed from I think cats are the best, and I think you know babies are better, and I guess just my son is better than cats, because my only experience is mostly my son. And so I guess the real, the more specific take that I'm giving is that I like my son more than cats. I think he's more precious than cats. And one second. And for some reason, like before I had him, I had this like I had this idea in my mind that, well, if I ever do have a kid, I'm gonna like be nicer to the cat. And I'm gonna like be more affectionate to the cat. And I'm gonna give more tender love to the cat. And my kid's gonna be like an annoyance in comparison to the cat. Because the cat doesn't like cry. The cat doesn't throw stuff. Well, my son doesn't. He does throw stuff, but it's like he's not very strong, so it's kind of cute when he does it. But I know one day when he's like 6 or 7, like when he throws stuff, it's gonna be a lot harder, and I'm gonna be upset when he breaks stuff and he's horsing around too rowdy, like too often. I want him to be rowdy boy. I want him to express his rowdy boyness, and not lose that. And I want him to like hone it in and strengthen it, if anything. But I know I'll be like a grumpy old man and it'll be kind of annoying sometimes. But, so before I had him, I thought, yeah, I'm going to be about my cat, like there's like a joke where like people love their dog more than their kids because, and I could appreciate that joke because like the dog is more like approval seeking and more kind and more simple, where like your children are more like complex, and they kind of, you feel almost betrayed by them in a way, that when they disobey you, and uh, I suppose you would also feel like they're just so complicated, and it bothers you that they're like ungrateful because they're a human. But even your dog, like, yeah, so your dog is not that. Like, they're not ungrateful. They're just thankful for eating the same kibble every single day. And so there's something like precious about that. And I think it was like, that kind of sentiment why I saw myself like loving my cat more than my child if I were to have one before I had one. But I think it was just like some kind of like, it's almost like snobbish like coping mechanism, that like not to open up to people. It was just like some kind of like buffer to like protect myself from like feeling hurt. And it's like a common thing that like people do, where they tell themselves like, oh, like I'm never gonna like love somebody romantically. Like, you don't need that. You just need to be like independent. I just need myself, and I'm just gonna go from partner to partner as I please, and I'm not gonna get my heart broken, kind of thing. So it's kind of like odd though that I would use that kind of mentality when envisioning the future of like if I were to have kids. But um, I don't think it's like totally the same. I think it just has to do with just like in general taking like seeing the future in a way where you can see it and be like a little bit cold about the future, so that you can move forward step by step with without being like swayed, I guess, or like perceiving that you would be swayed. And so like I think it's something that fits some people's like personality and the way that they feel like comfortable like moving forward and journeying in life, is kind of seeing things in a unrealistically cold way, so that you feel like you're a little bit bulletproof from like the different like inevitable realities of life, and in this case being like almost like maybe even abandoned by your children in a way, where like you're like in an old folks home and they don't see you very much anymore, and your kids don't see you very much anymore. You're almost like, I'm almost like protecting myself from that before it even happens, as thinking this thought as some like 30, because I'm in my mid 30s now, so like some 30-year-old, like envisioning the future in a cynical way to like almost like make humor in a like a dark humor way about the future, thinking negatively. And so, yeah, when it comes to the tier list, my son, a baby, has exceeded cats. And, deep down, even before I had my son, if I ever gonna have a kid, I knew it would happen. And I suppose maybe it would even happen to a greater extent if I had a daughter. And, uh, when it comes to this topic, one second. There's other things, that can be discussed and more to come. Until then, take care, everybody.